Okay, so some very, very big Star Wars, Lucasfilm, Disney news came down today, and I bet you've heard about it. But let's break it down and let's take an honest look at it. So here it is. This is something Gina Carano retweeted. If you look right here, Warrior Priest Gym Podcast. I looked for that particular Twitter account, even Facebook. I couldn't find them. I did find a podcast on Anchor under that name. I don't know anything about that podcast, but they're apparently the originators of this tweet, and she just retweeted it. But here's what it says, and I got to be careful on some words because YouTube will censor certain words. Jews were beaten in the streets, not by the soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. And then asked the question, and this is a quote. I don't know where exactly this quote is. It's in quotation marks. You see these quotation marks? How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Now, there is some difference if you consider the Holocaust that did happen, but is history capable of repeating itself, but yet in different ways? And this should serve as a warning that maybe we're going down a similar path. And I think that is the question that is being asked by this post. Now, here is an interesting post that was dug up. I found this. So this is Pedro Pascal, playing the Mandalorian himself, saying this is America, Germany 1944, America 2018. So he's making an unfair comparison of, and we don't even know this bottom photo. We don't know exactly where this came from. It's kids that appear to be in cages, which, by the way, Biden had a hand in doing that during the Obama administration. But they want to blame that on Trump. That's a whole other issue. But they're comparing that. These kids basically, well, you know what happens with these kids? They're getting brought in by people who generally aren't even their parents. They're using the kids because we'll be a sympathy. You'll bring me in with this child. You'll leave us alone. That happens. Look it up. And they're comparing that with concentration camps in the 1944 Germany. And Pedro is not being called out on this? Now, if you're thinking, maybe things aren't that bad, but are they going to get there? It's a good question. Here is actually a post, somebody that I did some work with this person. I have sent their name, anyone who commented, but this is just one sample of the attitude that we're seeing. Says any of my friends, and especially family, who plan to vote for Trump this year, let me know now. Unfriend me. If you need something, don't call me because I will not answer. I will not be there. I will never show up for you for the rest of my life. You've contributed to the divide of this country immensely, and unless you plan on changing your vote, I want nothing to do with you. And hey, look, there were people actually liking this and loving this. At least 24 at the time that I took this screenshot. Now, the funny thing about this, I called this hypocrisy when I got this image. I labeled it as hypocrisy because here is a divisive post, literally divisive, literally dividing themselves from friends and especially family. That is division. You are causing division and then blaming it on someone else. But that's exactly what Gina's retweet was saying. They caused division so much that there was hatred for so much on the other side that violence came of it and everybody was okay with that. That's a problem. That is what we are seeing. We had last summer, violence in our streets. People died. Cities burned. And we have new types of violence now on social media. Apparently even silence is violence. That's a whole other issue. But hatred is spewing out there. Labels are being thrown on people. People are being called fascists. That N-word we saw before. All kinds of different stuff. Labels are being thrown, people are being dehumanized, and that's all it takes. You start dehumanizing a group of people, and it becomes okay. Did we not see an entire 4 years of people saying it's okay to punch these people, calling them an unfair word that has nothing to do with them? Because you know what fascism is? Fascism is censoring someone's opinion or somebody different from you. That is fascism, or calling for violence or harassment of those people because they think different from you or they are different from you. Well, if you go out attacking that is fascism. And apparently those of you on the left can't handle when those fascist terms are thrown back at you because that's what that post does. It's throwing that fascism back on you and putting that label back on you. And you can't handle it. Apparently, it's okay when the left does it, but when somebody tosses it back at you, because you have earned it, you can't handle it. And even though, yes, a lot of people will say, well, I wish celebrities would keep their opinions to themselves. And we say that a lot. You know, they tweet, but they're free to tweet whatever they want. We won't cancel them over it. But what's happening now when somebody on the right side of things, or is more conservative, does it, they are being canceled. When it's not done for those on the left for controversial things that they will say. But you have a right to an opinion, and people have the right to not agree with you. But when you start canceling people over it, that's fascism. You need to learn what fascism is, and then stop doing it if you're guilty of it, and prevent it. We are supposed to love our neighbors. And this is a whole post that she retweeted is about people hating their neighbors. And America, we are guilty. There are people hating their neighbors right now. And hating your neighbor is just the first step. Now we've got a violent summer. We had even an attack on the Capitol because people are angry. It's going to cause more division. Where will it go from there? I don't know. I hope a war doesn't happen in a civil war in this country. But that's the point. We either learn from history or we repeat it. And this tweet is a warning. And she's gotten fired over it. But it is a warning. We could repeat history in a different way. It will be different, but history could repeat. It has nothing to do specifically with Jews. It has to do with hate. Hate and division is the focal point of the point she's trying to make. And this could repeat itself. And she's saying, well, how is this different with how people are behaving here? Because we don't have camps yet, but they do have re-education things they're trying to push for. Re-education centers. That will be our version. Re-education centers. That's what we're going to do to people. They've been talking about it for a long time. There's people in Congress that have been talking about re-education centers. It's going to probably happen now that the people who are in power. So keep your eyes open. So that's the thing. Don't let history repeat itself. Love your neighbor. Have respect for other people. Even if you don't agree with them, at least respect them. That's all I got to say. And I know I'm probably going to lose some listeners over this, but I am very tired of the way everybody's behaving. I'm very tired of it.